And we are the Non-Prophets. Denis Loubet here, and in this video we're going to examine how Kevin Stein, Jamie Boone, and Gregory Dodge make millions, coming to you live from the Austin Free Thought Library on the 20th of February, 2019. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know these things you're teaching us will really work? But this exclusive webinar is sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization for the promotion of positive atheism and the separation of church and state. And if they can't turn you into a seven-figure juggernaut, then no one can. If you want to learn how these thought leader techniques can increase your ROI, just call the ACA voicemail at 512-220-6561 or visit the website at www.atheist-community.org. The Non-Prophets broadcast these lifestyle transforming tips live every first and third Wednesday of each month from 7:30 to 9 Central Time. But seating is limited and you don't want to miss out, so sign up now. For value added, you can follow the directions at www.nonprofitsradio.com and join the chat room for some one-on-one training. So sit back, enter the funnel, and prepare to be converted.
Okay, so I just have to say
individual results may vary.
That
Perfect.
millions of dollars not guaranteed. I just have to say that I must have missed out on a lesson because I'm not making $1 million. Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me. Every week, it's something new.
But aren't we paid by the same, Illuminati that pays NASA to lie about the shape of the Earth and all that stuff?
We are the Illuminati.
They're listening.
Oh, we're live. Shit.
Yeah. That reminds me.
Speaking of which, we have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
The head of the Illuminati.
The head of the secret Illuminati.
Way to tip your hand.
Not the public fake one that's putting random little squiggles in all of the corporate logos that people find. The real one that doesn't do random crap. The notorious EGD in the house. Ex-Mormon for the win.
I don't know if that's for the win, but
well,
ex-Mormon, it's true.
Mormon,
I actually prefer the term secular Mormon over ex-Mormon.
Oh yeah,
really?
Okay.
Because I grew up in Provo, Utah, like the most Mormon city in the world, right? And it's the culture is so much a part of my identity that I prefer to still include it in as part of my descriptive identity, but also preface it with the word secular because that encompasses my religious views.
What about Exmo?
Exmo, yeah. That's what everyone says, Exmo.
Okay.
For super short.
I alternate between ex-Mormon and foreman.
Yeah, foreman is never used in the ex-Mormon community.
Yeah, that's because you guys don't grill.
I have a foreman grill.
Okay.
I put bacon on it in the morning so that I wake up to the smell of bacon.
Have you ever burned your foot?
Yes. I'm so glad you knew that reference.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, they're going to think I'm idiots if they haven't seen that.
No, for a second. When you started into that, I thought my joke had just landed flat and you just decided to move on. It's like, oh, it's because they don't grill. And you're like, actually,
wait.
I can one-up that. So, you're here. You're awesome. Get used to it. So you are the co-founder and technical director, is that correct?
Technical director,
of the Truth and Transparency Foundation.
Yes.
Yeah. So when did you get into that? Tell us about how that's going.
Yeah. So the Truth and Transparency Foundation, we're better known for our projects, Mormon Leaks and Faith Leaks. We have started publishing stuff under the name of the Truth and Transparency Foundation, which we call TTF for short. So if I ever say the TTF, I'm referring to the Truth and Transparency Foundation. So the TTF, we used to just put out documents under the name Mormon Leaks and Faith Leaks and just do a press release, be like, this is what the document is.
That's what I knew.
Go and run with it, right?
Yeah.
And we would let the public and the media decide. It would decide its relevance, decide its importance, and then we saw an opportunity to do our own investigative reporting on the documents that we were releasing, and we decided to do that under the name, the Truth and Transparency Foundation. So the Truth and Transparency Foundation is a nonprofit newsroom.
Right.
What we like to call ourselves, dedicated to exposing abuse and corruption within religious institutions. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, and we need as much of that as we can get. So,
no kidding.
Have you heard about the Catholic Church? It's the
or the Baptist Church,
You heard
or
about
the
this?
Baptist
You seen
Church, or the
or the Mormon Church, or
the Episcopal
Jehovah's
Church,
Witnesses,
or the Jehovah's Witnesses, or various Orthodox Jewish communities. It's almost like there's a pattern here.
Yeah.
Powerful insular organizations that, And
I'd like to point out that it's not unique to religion by any means.
No.
Right? Like you get any organization that gets as big as these, religions that we just named, it's going to have those same type of problems. The problem with religion that makes it unique from those other organizations is that they have a say over your eternal salvation.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a huge way to manipulate people.
Yeah, they also make up all the rules for said organization.
Exactly.
And you can't really necessarily vote anybody out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus says, shh. Yeah.
Not every organization thinks God is on their side.
Yeah. That being said, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're along for the ride. And
Thanks for having me.
absolutely.
I'm excited to be here.
Kevin, why don't you take us into our first story?
All right, I've got an update from, was it 2 or maybe 3 episodes ago? It was about the Peace Cross. I think it was when we had Eric Murphy on.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's definitely not Christian.
In case you didn't catch that episode or you're unaware, there is a 40-foot tall cross in Baldensburg, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., and it's a World War I Veterans Memorial that has been up for I think it's almost... don't quote me on the number of years, but it's been around for a really long time, and one of the things that they were citing was, it's been around for so long, people are just now making a stink about it. Why don't we just go ahead and grandfather that in? It's been breaking the Constitution for so long. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, that argument worked in Texas on some 10 Commandments monuments that were for a movie at one point.
Of course.
Of course it would work on time.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways,
it
is actually going to be going to the Supreme Court on January 27th. Supreme Court is going to hear arguments over the American Legion versus American Humanist Association.
January 27th?
Yes.
Do you mean
February 27th.
next week?
Not until next year are they hearings.
I was going to say it's going to take a really long time to make its way there.
Yeah. So in 7 days, we're going to know. We're going to see how this is going to shake out.
What are the chances that Kavanaugh becomes the swing vote on that?
Is there a swing vote? You don't know how they're going to vote.
You're right. You're right.
Really?
What are the chances? I was going to say,
That's a good point, Dan.
I wonder if Gorsuch is quoted as saying, "No, I think the Christian religion has a place in American law," is going to not vote in that way.
Yeah.
that's kind of a swing vote. I mean, is there beer involved?
I like beer. Do you like beer? I've had beer.
I like
I feel
How much beer
dirty
do you
saying
drink?
that phrase,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge craft beer enthusiast, and I'm like, I love beer. I feel dirty saying that now.
Just like
I can't say many anymore.
Ruined it for the rest of us.
Is that something else he said? I've
No,
forgotten
Trump
that one.
says many all the time. I'm like,
Billions and billions and
Many people tell me that,
like, idiot, you sound like the president.
Bad omens.
Speaks better.
Yeah. Well, no.
So sad.
What's funny is at one point I would say the joke, I'm the most humble person because it plays perfectly into my humor because it's
That's right.
self-contradicting and all this. And then the president said it sincerely.
Yeah.
So he ruined humor entirely.
He's ruined everything,
You
including
are
humor.
such a clown that you have scared me away from humor, like real clowns do. So, in any case, that's 7 days from now. Hopefully, things will not be doom. Although the Supreme Court ruled. We'll cover that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the defense of it? I mean, Well, is it? Are they saying it's non-denominational, or it's not really a religious symbol?
I think they're saying it's not religious.
Yeah, they're saying it's not religious because it is a war memorial, and also they actually go on in this article. They didn't bring it up.
No
last
war
time.
has ever been religious, guys.
They didn't make this argument last time, but they do make it in this article, and it is again a Christian Broadcast Network article.
You love that CBN. It's rich, fertile ground.
This time they do make the argument that it's not unconstitutional because it is not a coercive.
That
really? It doesn't have to be.
What?
To divide.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, they're dead. Okay. I guess they can't change their religion.
Is the memorial to just World War I vets in general, or
just for that specific areas, for like 49 specific vets?
Do we know
it's
the
public land,
denomination of those vets?
I mean,
again, if it's public land, they can fuck off. But
right? I completely agree. I'm just wondering if that's going to work its way into the defense.
Probably,
right?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in defense of the assholes that are actually arguing this in court, I don't think that CBN is necessarily the CBN office necessarily lawyers. So they're like, oh, it's not even a big deal.
Everybody's
it's not an
lawyer.
attack cross. Like,
exactly.
Whatever a coercive cross would be.
Do they actually have graves there with gravestones?
No, the graves are located elsewhere.
Okay.
Well, Okay, so I'm not sure that's that significant. You can have war memorials anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, death is in the air and whatever.
Yeah, and they are saying, and actually Pat Robertson made this same point a couple of months back ago, but they're basically making the slippery slope argument of, if this peace cross is allowed to be torn down, then they're going to be coming for the crosses over at Arlington Cemetery. Yeah.
Oh, and that's right. Is it P. Robes or is it Pat Robertson?
Yeah.
Or someone else that you're trying not to laugh over there.
I've called him Pat Robertson so many times.
Yeah, Pat Robertson. Yeah.
Robert Pattinson. That's the vampire guy.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
He is Satan. I bet if you ask Pat Robertson about Rob Patterson, I've totally fucked up all the names. That guy, is it that guy that was saying that they'll also come for the Kennedy's graves in Arlington because they have a cross on the stone or something? They're gonna snuff the eternal flame because it's a representative of the fires of hell or something.
No, they're not crosses. They're just a vertical signpost holding up a horizontal sign.
They were just really big fans of right angles. Guys.
Yeah. Love our right angles.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll in a couple of days here we're gonna see what happens. Fingers crossed.
Right.
Keep your ears peeled for those oral arguments and prepare for potential doom as now.
Doom.
Yeah.
With our current administration, anything is possible.
Well, with the current administration, but also the current Supreme Court.
Supreme Court.
You have a strong opinion and interest in our federal government. What do you think of the Supreme Court at the moment?
What
non-believing
now I'm more
activist?
curious what makes you think I have a strong opinion of our federal government.
Oh, it's rumor. I heard.
Rumor, okay.
Yeah. Rumor has it that you pay attention to politics.
What's my opinion on the Supreme Court? I prefer to refer to Kavanaugh as the dishonorable Brett Kavanaugh. I mean,
that's pretty good. There was a period of time for me when I refused to correctly pronounce Justice Gorsuch's last name, and it tripped me up because I would say, Justice Gorgonflorgan, and then for a while I forgot what his actual last name was.
So Gorsuch?
Gorsuch, man.
So while he's not awesome for the separation of church and state, he is awesome for privacy rights. And he made he was a swing vote in a monumental privacy decision. And I know this podcast is not about privacy, but if you care about your privacy, he made the swing vote that said that law enforcement has to obtain a warrant in order to get your cell phone tower records. To track your location.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
And he was the one. He said, in his opinion, he basically said, your data is your property.
Nice.
Right. And so,
okay, that's good.
So that's why they have to obtain a warrant. So anyway, that was huge.
You know what? I hadn't thought about that. When I thought about the newbies, because they're right-wing activists and originalists and theocrats, so mostly it was doom, and then I thought, oh, they're young, so they're going to be there forever. Yeah. But they're young. They know what the internet is, kind of. They are on Friendster, MySpace.
Yeah, I don't know
We're
about
on Friendster, MySpace.
But of course, then you have the notorious RGB. So
yes, man.
Yeah.
Who must never...
Who's voting from her hospital bed?
Yeah, was. No, she 2 weeks she's over cancer again. Just wait until
Tenacious.
Yeah, the next one.
The other day I was with my kids at a museum, and there was a little girl like my daughter's age, like 4 or 5, and she had a Ruth Bader Ginsburg shirt on. And I told her mom, I was like, I love your daughter's shirt.
Nice. I didn't know that RBG was selling merch. So.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this in, and then I'm gonna reel us back real quick. But
I apologize. No, it's good.
There was
do you remember the court case?
What court case?
For the privacy?
Carpenter versus something.
Okay. There was a Fox News segment. I can't remember when it was, but they were bitching and moaning about Ruth Bader Ginsburg being in the new Lego movie.
I didn't know she was.
I'm gonna go see that this weekend.
Yeah.
I think it's just for like 2 seconds.
Now I'm even more.
Cool.
There's a Lego Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I'm all for it.
What is the latest?
They were just losing it.
Yeah. Well,
Christians or who?
Fox. Just right.
Fox. Yeah.
The privately owned
really
propaganda arm of a foreign national that we call Fox News. I'm not opinionated or anything. That's why they. So,
anyways,
Evan, what is the next story?
Okay, well...
Or did you... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off if you wanted to...
No, I just wanted to... Because that was funny, so I wanted to mention it. In any case, so there was a showing of a pro-gay conversion therapy movie in Belfast on Valentine's Day. That sparked sparked some protest. I tried to find like some clips of it, and I couldn't find anything. Maybe somebody who's a little more tech savvy will be able to find something. But
it's not a hint.
Yeah,
just maybe
throw it up on Reddit or in the ACA Facebook chat. ACA Productions, it's a private group. Go in there, talk, or tweet it at me.
But, I mean, there's not really much to the story. I thought we could just talk about
gay conversion
therapy in general and kind of how egregious that they're playing this kind of movie at all. This is actually, I want to say, the 3rd or 4th movie in a series that this group has made.
What's the group?
It is, let's see. Oh, I had it.
That's the...
Yeah, the name of the movie is Once Gay, Matthew and Friends.
Okay, from over here it looked like One Gay, Matthew and Friends. And I was like, okay, way to single him out, movie title. Yeah,
but it's just gay conversion therapy. It sounds so cheerful. It's like...
Yay!
So this is actually kind of a hot topic in Utah right now, my home state, because for 2 reasons, actually. There a notorious gay conversion therapist just left the church and came out gay.
I think I heard about that. Okay.
Okay, actually, I now I'm doubting whether or not he left the church, but he definitely came out as gay.
Yeah, don't quote you on that.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. But he definitely came out as gay, and he went on Piers Morgan's show, and Piers Morgan was like, "You're an idiot." But,
what?
Yeah, it was anyway.
Oh wow!
I
didn't realize how much sugar Piers Morgan was.
And then today or yesterday, sometime recently, there was a anti-gay conversion therapy bill proposed in the Utah legislature, and the headline in the Salt Lake Tribune was awesome. I busted up laughing because it said something like, Utah legislature proposes anti-conversion therapy bill LDS Church will not oppose.
It's like
Like, it was hilarious that they had to like put that in
Announce.
there.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
but
Just in case you forgot,
Yeah.
they still suck.
But apparently, so I've been told, I haven't looked at the bill myself, but I've been told that the reason why they're likely, I don't know if I want to credit that much, but there is an exemption for religions in the bill. And I don't know if I personally feel comfortable going as far as saying that that's why they're not opposing it, right? I like to give the church a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but there is an exemption for religions, and the church has, at BYU, they administered gay conversion therapy in the 70s.
Yeah. Do they not still?
No, not at BYU. I mean, and I would be very surprised if the church in any official capacity was doing it now.
I think you mentioned before, while they don't do gay conversion therapy at BYU anymore, you still cannot be openly gay and attend BYU. Is that correct?
You can be openly gay and attend BYU just as long as you don't, what they like to call act on your sexual desires.
That's the one. That's
So it depends on your definition of openly gay. If openly gay is holding hands with your partner or other public displays of affection, then no.
Okay, so no PDA.
Yes.
Well, that's not allowed at BYU for anyone.
Or private displays of affection either. If they'd find out about it.
Wait, how do they crack down on that exactly?
Oh, dude, the snitch culture at BYU is insane.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
no stitches there.
Oh.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like Baylor, right? Like they have an honor code, and people are like supposed to like
Rat
enforce
out
the
your
honor
friends.
code themselves, right? And it's pretty successful that way.
Yeah. Turn your friends in.
Yep.
If you see something, say something. No kissing.
Damn it.
Yeah, this is my. You know what? After this, I'm doing some stand up and an open mic. This is great. Yeah. So when you said you would be surprised if the church was doing any gay conversion therapy in an official capacity, are you implying that there's kidnapped for Christ camps everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, there may be a rogue.
Not to bring you down, Dennis.
Really?
Yeah, there's a documentary with the same title.
I've never heard of
And
that.
there's ones outside of the country where, if you are a minor, your parents get to decide that you're going to go live in a torture camp. I'm sorry, a gay conversion therapy camp in wherever South America. But when you turn 18, then you are an adult and would have the legal right to leave, theoretically. But that doesn't always happen.
I would hope you'd have the legal right to sue the crap out of your parents. God damn.
But I mean, Jesus, there definitely could be a rogue bishop that is encouraging somebody to do gay conversion therapy, right? But but there's also rogue bishops that are gay, right? So is it like the church and we all know how
openly?
No, right? Like, or else they would be excommunicated and wouldn't be a bishop, right? But so it's that's what I meant by like any official capacity. Like the corporate church definitely is not encouraging gay conversion therapy.
Okay, so yeah, not openly, not officially.
How much?
At the very least.
All right, so we're going to get a little bit, because now I get to ask you about how the Mormon church works. How much stratification is there? Because you say the corporate church.
Yeah.
Are there is it franchises?
So that's not that's not an official term, but it's a term often used in ex-Mormon circles and then also Mormon fundamentalist circles, because there's a lot of people don't know there are hundreds of offshoots of Mormonism. And a lot of them are like fundamentalist offshoots, and
FLDS.
FLDS is obviously the most well-known one, which actually they're all my cousins, distant cousins. I think.
Cool.
Thank God I wasn't born into that church.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they often refer to it as the corporate church because they're so concerned with money. Right.
Well,
and so it's just kind of become part of my vernacular. So.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So, but no, there's no franchises.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, there's hundreds of offshoots, but I don't know if I could say 100. There's definitely over 100. I don't know if there's 200, but
Yeah. Don't quote him on that. Yeah. Do you know when they stopped doing gay conversion therapy?
I don't know exactly what. I know that they were doing it actively in the 70s.
Okay. At BYU.
And yeah, that was actually like a huge part of my So it was funny. I kind of had two faith crises. One was when I left Mormonism, and then one was when I stopped supporting BYU because I was such a big BYU sports fan. I mean, my dad
they had
had
a losing season, or just
no. So that my dad had season tickets my whole life, right? And we would go to a bunch of the games, and then, but I had a hard time supporting BYU because of the gay conversion therapy, and then also just how they treat gays on campus now, and also students of color and stuff like that. So I'm really hard. And I was trying to say, I was like, I could support the football team, but not the institution. And then they filed a lawsuit against us, and I was like, fuck them. So
Right.
Oh, well, that did it then.
yeah. No, wait. Sorry, I mumbled Lamanites into my breath, but that's Native Americans, right?
yeah,
Yeah. What are they called? Black people. Like, what is that? Never mind.
I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but black people.
I mean, no, is there not a thing?
There is an Orthodox Mormon belief. It is definitely not widely taught, or I mean, it was at one point.
Descendants of Ham, or
exactly,
Yeah.
or
Right.
Cain.
that's I thought Cain
Descendants
was
of Ham, or Cain. Yeah, it just depends on who you talk to. You know, there was. I actually talked about this on Godless Bitches when I was there. A man
episode.
named Bruce R. McConkie, who he was the one that taught
Has a
that
great
blacks
name.
were cursed before this life, and because they weren't as valiant. So Mormons believe in this war in heaven.
Oh yeah,
that happened.
they fought against God.
Yeah, and everybody that fought against God didn't get to come to earth, and everyone that was on Jesus' side did get to come to earth, but those that were less valiant were cursed with darker skin. Bruce R. McConkie actively taught that. That's no longer Mormon doctrine.
Yeah. Is that one of the ones that changed when Carter said you can't be officially racist and still be tax exempt?
It was in 1978.
Okay.
Is when June
changed all
1978
their-
is when the Mormon Church made that announcement. I don't know how that correlates with Carter's.
Well, so there was a little bit of right before that revelation from God of like, you're an officially racist organization.
Well, there was a lot of external pressure, such as especially from the NCAA. Like the NCAA was threatening to pull BYU's standing. I don't know what the hell you call it, right?
Wow.
Existence in NCAA.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to hit him in
money.
the pocketbook then.
Yeah. Well, and then there were a lot of protests too. Like BYU went and played San Jose State in football, and they literally played in front of an empty stadium because nobody showed up in protest because of the racism of the church.
Hey.
They were playing basketball at it was either the University of Arizona or Arizona State, and students lit the basketball court on fire in protest of the church and its racism. Right, there was a lot of external pressure.
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
Well, I mean, how much external pressure does it take? Because the history of the history of the Mormon Church is sort of like, oh, we want to be a state. Oh, you can't have polygamy. God says polygamy no more, right?
Yeah, but then they were still practicing polygamy for decades.
Well, yeah. Are they not still? There's just a lot of single mothers that live next door.
No, so definitely not in the Mormonism that I grew up in.
Okay.
However, they believe in eternal marriage, and they definitely practice multiple wives sealed eternally to one man. Like, for instance, the current president of the church, Russell M. Nelson, he is sealed to two different women.
Just not legally.
No. So when I say seal, I mean like the temple marriage that happens.
Right.
So his first wife passed away years ago.
Okay.
And then
he's remarried.
And then he remarried and is sealed. Has also been sealed in the temple to his second wife. And I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but like according to Mormon doctrine, he's going to be with both of them forever. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna have infinite three ways.
or it'll just be awkward forever.
Yeah. And just sort of, I'm going to, so I think our next story comes from you.
Oh, all right.
Where you,
Let's do it. Okay. So I forgot which one we were going to bring up first.
Good segue. You know what? Actually, why don't you lighten the mood a little bit, Dennis?
oh yeah.
Yeah, because we're
Give
going to
us. Do you have anything
Give
goofy
us
for
something funny that doesn't have gay conversion therapy or doom.
Well, I got a story.
That's good.
This is from the 13th of this month or something, and
Or is it last year or something?
Wait a minute. No, it's recent. They're just giving history.
Okay.
In 2017, Arizona State Rep Athena Salmon, an openly atheist legislator, delivered an invocation to open up the day's session. It was perfectly respectful speech referring to humanity that resides within each and every person here. Yet, it offended Republicans who insisted all invocations need to invoke a higher power.
I remember this one.
One Republican was even given permission to deliver his own prayer, effectively correcting the one that Salmon gave. It was disrespectful, rude, and a reminder that Republicans care more about Christian superiority than religious freedom. Now a version of that whole scenario just happened again. On Monday, this was done on February 13th,
So
A week ago.
yeah, last Monday.
Yeah. Salmon delivered another invocation. This one was more tailored to her personal atheistic views, but it was hardly demeaning to anyone else. Yet, and they provide a video. Watch what happens after her speech in the video below. Republican State Representative John Kavanaugh asks to speak, then proceeds to mock Salmon by invoking his personal God in what can only be described as a Christian attempt at humor.
Zing.
And so Salmon's invocation was apparently take a moment to reflect on the wonders of the universe, bask in the awe and magnificence of the diversity of nature, look upon the soaring mountains, the vast seas, the cloud-studded azure skies, ponder how living beings became so immensely diverse in our life-giving planet, how integrated and independent is all life meshed on our wondrous earth. Interdependent, sorry. And can we truly fathom the depth of the intricacies required to produce and sustain living beings such as animals, plants, microbes, the engines that support the survival of such diverse life forms on an incredibly insignificant planet, in an insignificant galaxy, in an insignificant corner of an unimaginably immense universe that may possibly be a single speck floating in a sea of universes. The wonders of nature dwell deep in the hearts and minds of all people, giving on this wondrous rock we call Earth as it makes its endless journey around a life-giving star we call Sol. No matter what we may call it, we give thanks to the awe and inspiring power of nature itself. And then apparently the speaker goes, Representative Kavanaugh? And Kavanaugh goes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to a point of personal privilege. Introduction of guests to the gallery. Please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to introduce my guest, God. God is in the gallery, as he is everywhere. And the same God who, by the way, created nature, which purportedly created this tiny speck of a planet in which this tiny speck of a legislature legislates. Thank you.
What a dick.
Yeah.
I'd like to rise to a point of personal privilege. Fuck you.
There's some butt hurt right there.
Yeah.
So,
God. It burns me because he did that with correct parliamentary procedure, and that's my jam. It's like, dilatory.
It's just so ridiculous because her invocation was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anybody, secular or religious, can get on board with that, right? Like, and to me, like, if you believe in a God, in a Christian God, I guess, he supposedly created all of that she just talked about. If you believe in a Mormon God, there are multiple gods that created all of that. But anyway,
and so Kavanaugh just
ridiculous.
encloses God inside that little room they were.
I have not small God.
Let's make it small again. I don't like
she didn't specifically cite his God, so he got butthurt. And
thinking to himself, how can I be petty and small-minded? I've got it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's pretty pathetic.
Is there relation between Kavanaugh and Kavanaugh?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Let's assume yes.
Does he like beer?
Yesterday, Salmon responded during the legislative session with a speech denouncing Kavanaugh's rebuke. This time, she was surrounded by several allies. I rise to protest today because I want to make it clear I have never denigrated another member's invocation. Yet, for the third year in a row, members of this body have belittled my religious beliefs in a way that are humiliating and uncalled for. Yesterday's action by the representative from Fountain Hills mocking my invocation, which was written by his constituent, violates the Arizona Constitution, Article 20, Section 1, that requires perfect toleration, and no inhabitant of this state shall ever be molested in person or property on account of his or her mode of religious worship or lack of the same. Additionally, it violates the U.S. Constitution.
The Arizona Constitution in Article 20, Section 1 has a specific reference to or lack of the same?
Or lack of the same.
Damn.
If she's quoting it correctly, then yes, it does.
I assume. But
Additionally, it violates the U.S. Constitution and Supreme Court ruling in Greece versus Galloway in 2014 and prohibits the disparaging of other faiths or none. Finally, it violates House Rule 26, privilege of the House, as it exhibits behavior unbecoming of a member. The Arizona court has made it clear when it said, "We cannot imagine that the legislature would give preferential treatment to one religion over another because one is more established and thus more acceptable than another." Yet for years, members of a more established religion in this chamber have disparaged members of non-faith. This is in clear violation of our rights. It was in violation of Representative Kavanaugh's constituents' rights. Mm-hmm. My mother was in the gallery, my grandmother. I was so ashamed that I didn't even introduce them because of the behavior that we witnessed on the floor. So I protest. Thank you.
Again, I have to say that my favorite part of that was when she cited the rule of like, oh yeah, and also House Rule 26 says don't be a dick, and you violated that one.
Yeah, that's a surprising rule.
This story, it was a back and forth parliamentary.
That was interesting. Yeah. The Arizona Speaker of the House, Rusty Bowers, followed that rebuke by moving on and pretending like it didn't happen. But, of course, I can't imagine what they do at that point. But,
I mean, I don't know what... I don't know if there's any formal procedure for a rebuke in the Arizona House, but
right.
She's not moving to censure him, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm terribly surprised at Kavanaugh's behavior.
No.
To be clear, the representative.
No, but the other
did he have a beer on
Yeah.
the floor as well?
Yeah, just imagine it, though, if it had all been reversed, you know? That would have been...
No shit.
If someone was like, yeah, I'd like to invite my friend, Reason, or what, like...
right.
Fox News will be talking about it still for the next year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even more so than Obama's fancy mustard or whatever.
Ooh, or his tan suit.
Tan suit, yes.
God. I missed that story because I couldn't date him. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's what I got.
I'm just like sort of basking in the like, yes, parliamentary zingers. Usually I have to go to the, usually I have to watch Prime Minister's questions in the UK for that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was written by one of his constituents. I thought that she had written that. I was... For the first time I read it, I was like, this is pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely beautiful and deep and insightful. And then he's just like, nah,
I'd like to invite my friend Jesus over here, and he says, you're fat and ugly. Neener, neener, neener.
I have to piss all over your invocation to make it smell like me.
Yeah, exactly.
I have claimed it as my own. That is how I do.
This is God's territory.
That's right.
I'm trying not to imagine him lifting his leg in that chamber. Well, our next story is a downer.
which is why we needed to laugh.
Yes, we did need a laugh.
No.
We got a parliamentary story in here. I didn't have to sneak it in, so we're happy for now. And just in case that didn't come across to the audience forever, I am nerd. So...
Hear you roar?
Hear me roar. I stumbled over the A in that sentence. But you have sad news for us now, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
I'm the downer here.
Take it away with your
Hey,
reality.
it's not me for once.
Yeah, so we, the TTF, we, let's see, on February 4th, we released this audio recording between two men. One of them abused the other when the other was 13. And the perpetrator, his name is Sterling Van Wagenen, and he is a current Mormon. That's not a huge deal, right? However, he co-founded the Sundance Film Festival with Robert.
He co-founded
Redford.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Him and Robert Redford were the co-founders, and he was the founding executive director of the Sundance Institute. But he hasn't been associated with Sundance Institute since 1993, which coincidentally enough is the same year that the abuse happened. I think that's just a coincidence, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so the survivor, who we will call David, that's how we refer to him in the article.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause he's anonymous.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's anonymous. Anyway, so when he was 13 years old, he was at a sleepover at Van Wagenen's house because Van Wagenen was his good friend. Van Wagenen's son was his good friend. Excuse me.
Okay. I was going to say, wait.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And then he woke up to trigger warning if you're sensitive to topics of child molestation. Probably want to turn it off right now. He woke up to Van Wagenen stroking his penis. And just a few months ago, he confronted Van Wagenen about it. He invited him over to his house, wanted to talk to him about it. Van Wagenen accepted, and he recorded the conversation. And Van Wagenen was extremely candid about it all.
Wait, was he aware that he was being recorded?
I do not think so.
Okay.
Utah is a one-party recording state.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
So, anyway, they, so we released that recording is what we released. And the reason why this is a big deal is
he significant in the church?
he's not like not everybody in the church knows who he is, but everybody in the church recognizes his works. He directed, he's a huge film guy. He
co-founded Sundance.
He co-founded Sundance. One of his one of his films won an Academy Award, right? He directed the Mormon temple videos, which are videos that are used to instruct people in the Mormon temple as they go through like one of the most important rituals in Mormonism, right? Okay. These are very sacred videos to Mormons, and you're not supposed to talk about the content of them outside of the temple, right? And so,
but the cinematography is great.
Secret
the cinematography is
videos.
actually pretty good.
You've seen that? Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I have seen them.
I was just trying to.
These came out probably like 6 months before I left the church. So yeah, I saw. He made 3 separate ones.
Oh,
okay.
And they for whatever reason, I don't know why they just made one.
Different versions of the.
Different versions of the exact same thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it either. And I saw 2 of them before I left the church. But anyway, that's a big deal. Like that's a very privileged position in the Mormon church to be in, right? And when the abuse happened, he did go to his stake president, which is not the leader of your congregation, but the next leader up. Right?
So is it? I mean, there are bishops.
There are bishops. So So a ward is a congregation in Mormonism, and each ward has a bishop, and then multiple wards make up a stake, STAKE, and then there is a stake president who is over the stake.
Okay.
And he is actually the one that ends up signing your temple recommend or your card that says I can get into the temple, right? So he's a big deal in your eternal salvation. He went to the stake. Well, the stake president heard about it and he called him in. And he admitted to it, right?
This is in 93?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the stake president encouraged him to go to the police as well, which is awesome, right?
Yeah.
I would have preferred that the stake president called the police himself, but but this is Van Wagenen. To his credit, he went to the police. We obtained the police reports.
Damn.
And he admitted he kind of played it. His version and the survivor's version differ only slightly. He says that it was never under the clothing. The survivor vehemently challenges that, right?
So, to be clear, did this happen more than once, or was it just the one time?
Just between these two, just the one time. And Van Wagenen in the tape claims that he has never molested a child ever since then. And while that very well may be true, however, statistically speaking, it's not likely.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But we honestly don't know. I mean, there's been no evidence to suggest otherwise, so we can only go off of his word. Sorry.
I was going to say with a grain of salt, probably.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. I mean, if he's saying that it was never under the clothing, but the victim is saying that it was, there's definitely some discrepancies there. So.
Yeah, I'm inclined to believe the victim.
I am too. Yeah.
So you're
Right.
Yeah.
So he goes to the police. The police contact the survivor's parents, and they choose not to press charges. So he was never charged with this.
Right.
So you're probably getting to this part. Was that an independent decision of the parents, or was that?
So that is unknown. There's a lot of as a reporter, I feel like it's my ethical duty to not speculate that far. However, I will say that there has been speculation that they have been pressured, that they were pressured by their local leaders of the church to not press charges.
They're Mormon as well.
Yes.
Okay, so we haven't been able to trace any financial transactions or anything like that. With Michael Jackson paid off multiple families.
There was a mutual friend that was involved between Van Wagenen and this family, the survivor's family, but who. Sorry, what?
No, I was going to say involved in what way, but you're about to answer.
Yes, he was a bishop of another ward, not their ward, right? And he let me see what we reported here so that I don't misspeak.
You cover a lot of.
According to David, the friend, who was a bishop of a nearby different congregation at the time, encouraged his parents to let the church handle the situation. So I guess we do have the survivor's testimony saying that his recollection is that mutual friend, who was a friend of Van Wagenen and his parents, who was also a bishop, encouraged them to not press charges and to let the church handle everything.
Right.
I was going to say
that's the only thing that we have pointing to that, though.
Yeah.
Anyone else reminded of the opening scene of Spotlight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So here's another. Okay, so also to the church's credit, he was disfellowshipped. Now, disfellowshipped is very different than it is in other religions. That just means that you can't participate, but you are still a member, and you could still attend church. Well, you could always attend church, unless you're given a no trespassing letter, which does happen. But yeah.
So he's still a member. So that means that even though he cannot attend, he can still get the afterlife benefits.
Yeah. So he was only disfellowshipped for 2 years.
Okay.
So all of his rights were restored after those 2 years.
What rights do you lose when you're disfellowshipped?
You can't take the sacrament, which is very similar to the Catholic Church, the sacrament, the way that the Mormons do it.
So it doesn't sound like a big deal then.
You can't. I mean, there's a lot of social repercussions too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Especially
you have to wear
in
a big
Utah.
red A or something.
Yeah, if metaphorically, right? But and then you can't participate in class either. You can't answer
so you
questions
get out of
or
school
speculate on doctrine, right? But if you want to be undisfellowshipped, you have to show good faith and be going to church and class and everything. So he was disfellowshipped for 2 years. But what is interesting is, so the abuse happened in July of 1993, and he started to work as a professor at BYU in the fall of 1993.
So wait, okay. So now I have to ask the question: in the early 90s, in 1993, how closely linked to church officials, to bishops, and the quorum of the 12, and the Grand Poobah of the attack fleet, is the
Sultan
provost of BYU?
Is BYU?
Yeah.
The president of BYU is a member of the Quorum of the 70, which is just below the Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
Wow.
Okay.
It's almost always been that way.
Okay.
So BYU and the upper echelon of the church are intertwined pretty significantly.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you can't work at BYU if you don't have a temple recommend, that card that I was talking about earlier that says that you can get into the temple. And you have to be paying your tithing to be able to have a temple recommend.
Well,
what is tithing for Mormons? I know it's 10% for...
10%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's biblical.
I had very heated discussions at church whether that was 10% on net or 10% on gross.
Oh yeah,
Smart ass.
What was your opinion on what it should be?
I had always done gross my whole life,
And other people were doing net,
and a lot of other people were doing net. And then when I started to like think for myself, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm doing net."
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And there are some people. Well, so in the early days of the church, the Mormon history lesson here, it used to be 10% of your excess. So after you paid all of your bills and everything.
So it was net.
Well, so when I say net, I mean like I started paying net after taxes, but before I paid all my bills. Right.
Okay. So
And the gross was before taxes.
Are there Mormon accountants to help you with this? 'Cause
I know it's all very confusing.
Do you get an exemption if you own an exotic animal? Where you do like
We haven't even gotten into the confusing stuff.
Yeah,
Are you
that's
kidding
true.
me?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was disfellowshipped, and that's like a slap in the wrist compared to like other people have been excommunicated entirely from the church for simply criticizing them, right?
With that you
that's
can't
public,
possibly have the afterlife stuff if you get excommunicated.
You can come back.
You can come back.
But if you die when you're excommunicated, you don't get an afterlife unless someone else gets baptized for you?
well,
I'm not sure if you could do baptisms for the dead when you're excommunicated, if someone died when they were excommunicated. That's a good question. But
it's probably
you will likely
probably
go to the
controversial.
celestial kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the middle one, right?
That's the bottom one.
Oh, that's the bottom one.
But there's another bottom one.
So it's not
it's hell.
it's not
It's
Midgard.
called outer darkness. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Is there like just one giant rule book for this that I can read later?
Yeah, it's called the Book of Mormon.
No, the Book of Mormon is a bunch of, and so it came to pass that boring shit didn't happen, and I forgot to say the thing before.
The Doctrine and Covenants.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Which
Is that freely available?
Yeah.
Just
Uh-huh.
Get it?
Yeah,
Get it for
the
free?
Doctrine and Covenants, and it's revelations given mostly to Joseph Smith. There have been a couple chapters added since then, like
Brigham Young?
There's actually, I don't think there's anything from Brigham Young, but the
Pearl of Great Price.
the proclamation saying that they're not practicing polygamy anymore. Manifesto, that's the word I was looking for. The manifesto saying that they weren't practicing polygamy anymore is in there.
Okay.
It includes all the latest fanfic on the...
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So anyway, so he was disfellowship for 2 years, and then he goes on to have this very, very privileged Mormon life, whereas there are students at BYU who have sex with their partners, and then they get kicked out of BYU and disfellowshipped. And getting kicked out of university is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Right?
That says like real world consequences.
Exactly.
Man.
Or like I said, there are people that have criticized the church that were completely excommunicated. And that's one aspect of the story. But the aspect of the story that we chose to concentrate on, that we think is the real issue here, is that the church completely and utterly failed David, the survivor. He was offered no therapy. He was offered no counseling. He was offered no help by the church whatsoever.
Is that a regular thing for other types of victims?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Like
Okay.
the church has
Jeez.
is what a regular thing.
Like counseling.
Therapy and counseling.
So the church has it's now called LDS Family Services. Back then it was called LDS Social Services, and they employ therapists, right? To that they send members to for when they're having marriage problems or depression or whatever, right? Like, and the really ironic thing here is that David and Sterling Van Wagenen's stake president was the commissioner, I believe was his title, of LDS Social Services at the time.
Oh, wow.
So he definitely knew.
Yeah.
And David, the survivor, was offered
Nothing. That he was completely and utterly let down. That's the real huge story that we chose to focus
I
on.
think you probably picked the right part of it.
Yeah.
And I was about to ask you how many weird governmental things the Mormon church has if they have CPS wing.
Right.
Yeah.
A CPS wing that apparently fails because it's inept rather than overworked.
Don't they have a pretty overblown
Money?
like police force, basically? Their campus police force. Maybe I'm confusing them with a different.
they have
No, I think they have BYU police, but those are government officials, and that's actually what they're suing us over.
Okay.
Wait, they're
BYU's suing us because we submitted a GRAMA request, which is the Utah equivalent of FOIA,
Right.
to get a police report, actually to get an audio of an interview that we wanted, and they said, no, we're not subject to GRAMA because we are not a government organization because we work for a private university. And we're like, if you have the power to arrest and the power to shoot and kill, then you're a government. Then you're a government agency.
Yeah.
And the Utah State Records Committee ruled in our favor, right? And now they're suing us in the Utah State Records Committee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to. They have enough money to pay lawyers.
Congrats, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing something right.
And that's when I
for exposing stuff.
That's when I threw out all my BYU paraphernalia. That was the last straw, like I said.
Yeah. Did you set it on fire dramatically?
Actually, I kind of lied. I still haven't thrown it out, but I haven't. I think it's like at the bottom of my dresser.
That's basically the same thing. You're never going to get to the bottom of your dresser.
It's so true, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I know exactly what you mean. So they have a police force that is part of the church?
No. They there's a police force.
They're like employees.
I was confusing it an entirely different story.
I mean, there's a strong snitch culture within the Mormon church, just like a BYU.
Well,
but
they don't have handcuffs, though.
Nah, no.
Okay.
So the Jehovah's
the official.
The Jehovah's Witnesses have like an internal judicial system. Maybe that's what you were thinking of.
No, because I don't know anything about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Do the Mormons not have an internal?
Not nearly as huge as the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they do.
Jehovah's
Like for instance,
Witnesses,
when Van Wagenen was disfellowshipped, he went in front of a group of men, and they basically decided whether he would be disfellowshipped, excommunicated, or nothing. Right, and he had a certain amount of time to state his case. And then the stake president or someone that he delegated the responsibility to had a certain amount of time to state their case. And but there was no mutual third party.
Wait. So Van Wagenen gets to designate who the equivalent of opposing counsel is to his thing, or is that the
So there's
tribunal of Mormon judgment?
We're really going to get.
Yeah,
There's every stake has what's called a high council, and it's usually like
that is
14 or 15
nerdy,
men.
I love it.
High council.
and that they are the ones that hear those. They're called disciplinary councils.
Okay.
Or court of loves. Courts of love.
That's really Orwellian.
Yes.
That's not an official name. However, it is regularly used in the church.
Why?
Because they love you. Jesus loves you no matter what.
Jesus loves you. Go to Mormon jail. Actually, they don't have a jail. They just have, you can't sit with us at church punishment.
Yep. Well, you could sit.
Harsh.
But you just can't take a sacrament.
No wine for you. Which actually, that's...
No wine, but... Does
Really?
the Catholic Church do wine? Here
Yes.
I am showing my ignorance.
The Catholic Church does Jesus' blood because the
Well, that's what they say
wine
it is too.
Oh, okay. But is it juice that's non-alcoholic?
Water.
It's water.
Oh, that's boring. I mean,
Wow.
In Joseph Smith's day, they used wine.
Why they switched because water's cheaper? Like what? Not to be entirely cynical about
I don't know.
corporate church.
hey, the Mormon church doesn't have a lot of money, Jamie.
Yeah, they're
very-
scraping pennies.
Actually, they do. We were the first ones that revealed that they are worth at least $32 billion.
My sarcasm sucks.
I knew that you were sarcastic. I just
but you should
wanted to
have
get that shameless plug in there that we
make that point.
yeah, and you needed to say 32 billion.
Yeah.
and that's just their shares in the U.S. stock market.
Jesus.
That doesn't count their real estate or anything that they have.
Their
in
real
bank.
estate, which is tax free in okay.
Yes. Charming.
Okay.
I'm having problems filing my taxes right now, so I'm kind of pissed off that a molester defending organization has billions of dollars and does whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, don't leave, but yeah, thank you.
That
Yeah.
was a horrible thing to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis, do you have?
I have one listener mail.
Okay.
Excellent. Who's it from?
Iwa.
Okay.
And Iwa says, Dear nonprofits, I have two comments about uncontacted people, talking about the
uncontacted peoples. Okay,
yes.
That's
all right.
right. I
people
saw
on the
this one.
island who...
The South Sentinel Island and in
Right.
Brazil. We talked about that the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
First, the death rate from diseases provides First, the death rate from diseases provides uncontacted tribes after contacted has been 50 to 80%. So contacting these uncontacted tribes could lead to massive deaths.
True.
Secondly,
I think we made that point.
Disease, the
Numerous
enemy of
times.
human progress.
I'd
and
have
life.
to. I should look up that 50 to 80%, but
yes. Don't quote me on
viewing what happened to the Native Americans, with the blankets and smallpox, that was just really great. Yeah. Secondly, indigenous peoples' lands guard 80% of the world's biodiversity. So indigenous peoples' lands have become a backdoor nature preserve. So protecting indigenous peoples' lands, we are also protecting the ecosystem around these people. Mm-hmm. A lot of indigenous peoples' lands are under threat by logging and mining. Leaving uncontacted tribes alone, we are letting most people live out their longest, happiest lives, and we get some of the best protected nature preserves. And thanks for the wonderful podcast. So,
thank you.
Cool.
Well, you're welcome, Iwa. I am not so sure that life in an uncontacted tribe, depending on the tribe, is the longest and happiest available. But don't chop down all the forests.
That
I know that's a really controversial statement. Don't destroy everything, guys.
the whole thing about a lot of our protected lands are protected because of uncontacted people. That is likely the reason that Bolsonaro is so adamantly against recognizing these people as a protected,
right.
Protected people. Because I guess, that they've got that back door of, okay, if these people are no longer protected and they can no longer opt for being remaining
Protected.
Uncontacted, okay, well, that's going to open up that back door to the
natural resource acquisition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
he's made it very clear that he has no interest in protecting the uncontacted tribes within Brazil.
Yeah.
or the lungs of the planet.
Yeah.
Which there are like dozens of in Brazil, right?
Uncontacted tribes. Yeah,
There are dozens of lungs in Brazil.
I don't know about there are scores of lungs.
The
in
former,
Brazil.
but definitely at least dozens of lungs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if there's dozens of separate uncontacted people. I know.
Yeah, I couldn't speak to that
bet,
necessarily.
I'll take a bet with you. There are at least 12 people that are uncontacted. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
I think we can guarantee that.
There's at least a dozen.
For now.
Well,
Right.
and the
I actually
mood
think I'm
is-
remembering that stat from your show last week. I think the article said there were 30 or something. But
Damn,
Yeah.
you got a better memory than
All right,
I
then we
do.
Yeah,
I could be
You've
totally
watched it more
remembering
frequently. It's been a couple weeks.
I suppose so.
Yeah, you can tune in next week.
Like the ones who pepper the underside of aircraft with arrows.
Yeah, well, so this is I said this about the South Sentinel Island already, haven't I? Which is that
The Sentinelese.
the Sentinelese.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what the anthropological definition of uncontacted is. However, back when colonialism was all the rage, in the old school way, as opposed to now when it's definitely not, sarcasm included. There were, I think it might have been English people, I don't know who, came and basically took a family of 4 Sentinelese from the island, So parents and 2 children. And then the parents contracted a disease and died. And then the, colonial people returned the children to the island. So this is a people who have spoken language and therefore have this history of, no, when people come to the island, they're going to steal some of us and slowly make us die from disease.
Yeah, last time you white people showed up, you took our kids and they died and they probably killed a couple of us as well.
So they're like, look, a person is coming, let's shoot them with an arrow is something I kind of understand. But I mean, I understand the motivation.
Bitter experience.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I've seen fights break out between people because UT beat A&M. So, humans.
Welcome to Texas, right?
Right.
Yeehaw. Actually, you brought up Jehovah's Witnesses a moment ago. That's the next story you have for us, right?
Yeah, so we, in our existence, the TTF's existence, we have received 2 takedown requests. Well, we had received 2 takedown requests, and they were both related to Mormonism. And when I say takedown requests, I'm talking about like the full-blown legal document under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act saying...
So copyright.
Yeah, saying, we have a copyright on this document, you can't publish it, take it down, right?
You're a journalist.
Right. And so
sorry.
we got one, and I go into a lot of details about this when I was on the Godless Bitches. Anyway, and so we got 2 that were related to Mormonism. Not going to go into detail about them, but that was a while ago. On December 31st of 2018, we got 4 separate ones from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that was exciting because it was the first time not getting anything, getting one not from
you've arrived.
Mormons, right? Yeah.
There's 2 insular, well-organized, international
that hate us.
Yeah, they're coming after your
you're definitely doing
your free
right.
speech. Yeah.
So it was interesting because they issued. It was for. Let me look up the stats here, but it was for. I think close to 100 documents. Now that I'm talking, I can't remember my password, so I'm just not going to look it up. But anyway, it was 4 separate takedown requests for a few dozen documents that had been on our site for at least like 9 months, I think. Right, but the day that we got the takedown request, there was an article published in a Norwegian newspaper profiling an ex-J-Dub who, in that article, revealed that he was the source of those documents for us, right?
Wow.
And that same day, we got a takedown request from Jehovah's Witnesses. So they're likely, we are assuming that they didn't know that we had published them.
Okay.
But what was also...
So you really have arrived. Now they know. Now they're watching you.
Well, the thing is like a year in January of 2017, so 2 years ago, god damn. Time goes by.
Yeah. It's like we're in a political hellscape. There's no passage of time.
Thanks, Jamie.
You're welcome.
2 words. Wayback Machine.
We published letters between Massachusetts Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower, their overarching parent organization, actively covering up sex abuse, right? And so they were definitely aware of us before this, right? But what was super interesting was that what most of these documents were outlines of talks that the leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses go around the United States giving. Like they have regional conferences just about the doctrine and so Jehovah's Witnesses.
You published their doctrine on the internet, and they
pretty much, and they were like,
so they were just like, oh well, we don't like you.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Okay, they don't have a copyright.
Yeah.
So they have a copyright to their doctrine? I mean,
are
there any grounds here?
It's probably
they do have a copyright to it.
It's a work of fiction. I mean,
but what was interesting was the takedown request was for the talks from their 2016 conferences and their 2017 conferences.
I guess sorry, that's what I meant. Was they don't necessarily have a copyright on their talks that they gave.
They probably do. I mean, it's creative.
It's
creative product, but you're.
I guess if you're
journalists,
private,
and we'll get into this.
If they're private talks, I guess maybe.
Well, that's the thing. They're like semi-private because only J-Dubs go. They fill up I don't know if they fill stadiums, but there's a lot of fucking people at these.
Is it a commercial enterprise? Are they charging admission? Like,
I'm
or are they just taking 10% of everybody's money, so it doesn't really matter?
I can't speak to the legality.
Really?
I'm just spitballing.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not a J-Dub, but I'm like 85%
You're
sure
a journalist.
J-Dubs don't
You have to
tithe.
know everything.
So anyway, what I'm getting to is that they wanted us to take down the 2016 and 2017 talks, but not the 2018 talks. Maybe they're unaware that we have those too. Okay. But I pointed that out in the article, how weird that was, right?
I mean, is there a substantial difference in the talks? Like,
no.
In 2018, they're like, everything is sunshine and roses. And in 2017, they're like, all right, here's the secret assassination of doom.
As far as I can tell, no. But anyway, it was they gave us 10 days to respond, which was that was the first one that we got that gave us like a time limit. And so our attorney responds saying no and listing all the reasons why, basically that we're covered under fair use.
Yeah.
And for those of you not familiar with fair use, it basically says that you can republish creative works for the sake of parody, commentary, news reporting, and I think there's one other
education.
There you go. And we were providing commentary and we're news reporting, right?
And it's educational.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, so we said, no, we're not taking them down. We haven't heard from them since, but it was really cool to see the reaction from the ex-JW community because Watchtower will come in and they actually, the reason why, so our source, his name is Jason Wynn, and the reason why he got us all these documents was because he was hosting them on his site and Jehovah's Witnesses gave him a takedown notice and he complied. Because he didn't want to go through the whole legal trouble.
Right.
And he said, and the reason why I'm saying all this is because he revealed it in this article in the Norwegian newspaper. Before that, it was not known. He literally sent me the hard drive from his server, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
And with all the documents, with 500 gigabytes of documents that I'm still uploading. Right?
Wow, that's...
Man.
That's like a spy movie.
That's intense.
So anyway, and it was
there has to be a thumb drive.
Yes.
A little bar filling up on the screen. Everybody's sweating.
You met in an underground parking lot, right?
No.
You slid it across in a briefcase.
He's Irish, so he lives in Ireland, and I was living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the time, so he
mailed it.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you generate 500 gigabytes?
Boring. When they make a movie version of this, it's going to be more exciting, I promise.
That's not as sexy.
So anyway, they I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, so he complied, and a lot of other J-Dubs that have also published other documents have also complied because they just don't have the legal muscle, and we're that is what our organization is about, is standing up to these types of, like standing up to these big dogs that are like saying, do what we say, right? And
no slaps.
Don't reveal our secrets, right? And so it was really cool to see the excitement in the ex-JW community after we released this letter.
Cool.
Right? They were super excited about it. A lot of them found the letter like therapeutic because our attorney was standing up to Watchtower, this oppressive organization that had oppressed all these people for so long, right? So that was just really cool. It didn't really make it didn't make much splash outside of the JW community, right? Which is fine. I mean, we didn't really expect it to, but that was cool. And then what was even cooler was a matter of weeks later, we released what they call the branch manual in Jehovah's Witnesses. That's like the official name.
Are you about to explain that there's whatever the Jehovah's Witness version of a stake and a ward?
No.
And
I'm not nearly as educated about seriously, every single time I write an article, I have to call somebody up and be like, okay, am I getting this part of the organization right? And then even after I publish it, people are texting me like, that's not right. I'm like, damn it. It's you can relate. You guys were confused as fuck when I was explaining the hierarchy of Mormons.
Yes.
I think
the hierarchy of angels.
Yes, I think the word we're looking for is Rococo or something.
Why?
So anyway, we released the branch manual, which is, for simplicity's sake, only accessible to the highest leaders in the Jehovah's Witnesses, right?
What does it describe?
It is a huge ass document, like over 200 pages, and it describes their policies and procedures for a number of different things, including how they approach sex abuse. And this was significant because so we released the branch manual and the elders manual. which are two different things, and those
What's
are the two highest manual. The elders manual goes to anybody. So each Jehovah's Witnesses, here we are, I guess we are getting into the Jehovah's Witness organization. Each congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses has what's called a body of elders, and that's anywhere from like 6 to maybe 12 men that lead the congregation.
So there's descriptions in the Bible that the Church of Christ uses to organize their churches, where it's like, these are the elders and that's how it's organized, and these are the biblical requirements for it. Is it modeled on that? Because J-Dubs are traditional.
Yeah, well, so is the Mormon organization, right? Like that was my...
They added a book. Like they made up their own rules. Or it's different.
So I was an elder in the Mormon church, right? But that's very different from an elder in the J-Dub church. And that's not just missionaries in the Mormon church. Like I was an elder even after my mission.
I mean, again, I don't mean to pick on Mormons, but they totally flipped all of the things. The elders is everyone, and also absolutely everyone is a saint.
We wrote our own fiction.
Everyone's a saint. So what do these words even mean?
We're the Christian hipsters. We wrote our own.
Our own version. Like you didn't read the manga, so you won't understand. Like
anyway. So the elders manual goes to anyone that is in a member of the body of elders and up. The branch manual goes to a level higher than that. So the body of elders don't have access to the branch manual. And I believe it was the elders manual that said for the body of elders, it told them that if they get a sex abuse allegation coming to them, to inform the victim that they have the right to go to the authorities. And that sounds like really basic, but that is a fucking huge deal in jail.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Because they believe that all government and secular organizations are absolutely corrupt, and they do not believe in reporting things to the authorities. Right? In fact, you can get in trouble for reporting things to the authorities. And let me clarify here. They only instruct the elders to say that they have the right to go to the authorities. They don't say you should go to the authorities.
Right.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I know that we're praising that, but that is the bare minimum.
Exactly.
Well, that's shamefully.
And they could very well
bar.
that still gives them the room. And I don't know if this happens. I'd have to talk to a J-Dub, but that still gives them room to actively discourage them from going to the authorities.
You have the right to do the wrong thing. Like
Exactly.
I can imagine that conversation. Like so here's what I will say is I don't know, somehow I've bought into the bar has been set so low, because in my mind they're reminding people that they have the right to go to the police, which is sort of like, it would be like hearing that the mafia was sort of like, yeah, no, you can snitch, it's fine. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I recognize authority outside the church somewhat for some categories, maybe. But also it's
I remember one time I had a JW apologist on Twitter talking to me, and I was talking about the fact that J-Dubs don't report abuse if they don't have to. And he was trying to justify that. They're like, they're not legally obligated to in some states, so it's okay. And I'm all like, fuck that. Like, they are morally and ethically obligated to in any decent moral standard.
Yeah. Aren't there states where you're not morally, where you're not legally obligated to report a corpse or something?
You're propping up a system that actively suppresses, victims coming out about their about abuse and about crimes, and that's fucking shameful. I mean,
let me respond with an excuse.
Yeah. Anyway, so that we released the newest version of the branch manual, which was a big deal because the last one, the last one that was released was from like 2013 or something like that, and there had been quite a few updates.
How often do they update it?
They update it, from my understanding, annually. Actually, no.
They really are like, they're just like a publishing empire, because they update the Bible every day
Mormons
or something.
do the same thing, not necessarily with the Bible, but the Mormons have 2 manuals that are secret that
Can you tell me about them? Do I have to know the handshake?
So like secret?
You have to know. Do you know the handshake?
Could it be that they're
maybe
that the publishing of these documents, that they're more outraged? Not that outsiders get to see them, but that their own internal people get to see them?
Definitely. Yeah. I would say so. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, presumably they just say you not only should outside people not see them, you don't have the correct level. It's a sin for you to
Right. Well, I mean, look at J-Dubs. They're so insular that they don't give a shit what the outside world thinks about them.
Right? Yeah.
Like, so, whereas the Mormons very much do.
Yeah, that's why they smile so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So they probably don't give a shit that other outsiders are viewing these manuals. They don't want their own.
internal
and the thing is,
people
they
to
do
see
such
them.
a good job. They do such a good job of brainwashing is a controversial term, but of convincing their people that they shouldn't look at them, right? Like when we released those letters back in January 2017 that showed the sex abuse cover-up, there were teens that were going on the XJW subreddit saying that they were being kicked out of their house for looking at those letters, right? Their parents, they're like, what are you doing? You're not my son anymore because you're looking at this apostate material, which is 100% fact. Right? Like, anyway, so.
Every time I hear something like that, I just hear voices saying, but why would you talk about religion in a bad way? It's so great for everyone.
Yeah.
That's literally the opposite of apostate material.
Yeah.
If
covering up sex abuse is not apostate,
Yeah.
according to them, then I don't know what the fuck.
That's an organization I'd like to not be a part of.
Yeah.
Also, they believe a bunch of stuff without good reason. So that too.
But it doesn't hurt anyone to believe whatever the hell they want to believe. Fuck off.
I know that it was sarcastic, but it still hurts.
I could just, I hear all the stuff about stakes and elders and stuff, and I just go, oh, that's such a breeding ground for petty little tyrants and stuff who jealously guard the thing they know. And it's got to be constantly kind of fractalizing into other little.
And it, so I will
horrible.
I will say this, like, and this is you reminded me of this right now, like, because that kind of pettiness and whatnot causes a lot of trauma. Like I had a very privileged life.
It's like high school, but adults.
Yes,
and 20 times worse than high school. Like I have like
they have authority
because they can
you
end
die.
your like everything you know of your adult life officially.
So like as a white man, I have a privileged life. Like there's no questioning that. In the Mormon Church, I had a privileged life because I was a white man.
Yeah.
Right. But
isn't that most Mormons?
I still
Okay.
But
That's a fair point.
I still have trauma. I've regularly gone to therapy since I left the church, right? Still working through some of that shit. And it's been hell working through it. But let me tell you, I'm so glad I was not born a Jehovah's Witness because theirs is way worse.
Their disfellowshipping is
they're shunning.
Yeah.
So in
or
Mormonism,
Scientologists get their squirrel hunted.
So the shunning in Mormonism, if it happens, is a cultural side effect. It is not. You can make a case that it is actively discouraged, but not officially. I mean, actively encouraged, but not officially. In Jehovah's Witnesses, if you talk to somebody that's disfellowshipped, you risk being disfellowshipped yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway. Jeez, got to maintain that bubble at all costs.
Yeah. For real, though. That's exactly what it is.
I mean, pretty much survival technique. Yeah.
Damn.
Yikes.
Okay.
So you have some good news for us out of California.
I do. I'm super excited. You want to do something else?
No. Hit me with that good news.
Okay, it'll be super quick, I promise.
No,
All right.
You're fine. Yeah. Well, because it was recently introduced.
In a lot of our documents, we noticed a theme, and it was actually what we just hit on it a little bit ago.
Yeah.
If clergy do not have the legal obligation to report child abuse, they won't. Right? But if they do have the legal obligation to do it, they will. Right? And we noticed that there are a shit ton of states in the United States that have a complete exemption for clergy when it comes to mandated reporting.
What?
Texas is not one of them, though.
Okay, well, I mean, Texas does some things right. When they bring down the hammer of justice, they really do. Anyone that drinks and drives will go to prison for all eternity or get killed. Right? So they very much draw the line. Never mind.
So in November, we sent a letter to the Utah legislature. A clergy does not have to report sex abuse if they heard about it from the perpetrator. If they heard about it from the victim or anyone else, they have to go to the authorities. But if they hear about it from the perpetrator, they do not have to go to the authorities. So they're literally enabling sex abusers, right? In that instance. So we sent a letter to the Utah legislature saying, hey, get rid of this, right? No one contacted us back. We kind of came in late to the game, so we didn't have time to like craft a bill or anything like that. We're going to do that next year in Utah. But at the same time that we did this, the California Attorney General announced that they were conducting a investigation into clergy sex abuse in the state of California. And then the governor of California at the time, who was outgoing, was a former Jesuit priest, and incoming was a very liberal Democrat into California, right? The election had just happened, and the Democrats had just gotten a supermajority in both the Assembly and the Senate, right?
Nice.
And so we're like, this looks like a perfect storm for us to take this effort to California, because if you look at California, they specifically have clergy enumerated as mandated reporters, but then in a later clause, they completely exempt them under almost all circumstances. So it's almost like they're not even listed as a mandated reporter. No matter who they hear about it from, whether it be the perpetrator, victim, a witness, gossip, whatever.
That's sort of damning, isn't it? You have this whole exemption because you expect a lot of it.
Right. I know.
Well, so look, I am not an expert on these things, and so I will come to this with a sort of like, I didn't study criminology or justice theory. Is there a reason to have exemptions from mandatory reporting?
In my opinion, legally, no. Religiously, that's their argument.
Well, of course, religiously,
right?
Yeah, religiously, you want an exemption from existence and reality.
Well, here's the thing,
otherwise
too.
you're going to get hit by a train.
You don't want consequences.
It's such a no-brainer that we flew to California. We flew to California. And we talked to dozens of legislators there, and all of them were shocked that was the case. They didn't know. Right?
Yeah.
Because California, the most liberal state in the country, who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, the good news here that I'm getting to is Senator Jerry Hill. He is the senator for Silicon Valley in California, and he proposed a bill this morning that completely takes out that clergy exemption 100%. And we were the ones that brought it to his attention, and we're super excited about it. So
Totally cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I mean, it's been said on the show, and we do updates, so you heard it here. You'll hear updates from here again.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, thank you for what you do.
Yes.
Fucking good job.
Thank you.
I really hope
Keep doing hard work so that I can just tell jokes.
So, do we want to round out the show with a little?
Of course, we're going to round out the show with some.
I've got it.
Oh, you have it.
I do.
Yeah.
With some
Shit. Internet apologists say.
This week's shit internet apologists say comes from the none other, the one, the only, the legend, Ken Ham.
Oh,
all right.
I love that dude.
Oh yeah. No, I prefer Ray Comfort because Ray Comfort's actually like nice and he sends fruit baskets.
I'd actually never heard of him before this story. So
Okay.
Before you read this,
yeah, I don't follow Christian apologetics. I follow Mormon apologetics.
Okay.
wow.
all right.
It's not really. And
Somewhere
even then,
a Mormon's head just exploded because you put them in a different category than Christians.
it's not worth my time, to be honest with you. That's what I find anyway.
It's weird to hear because we're activists in the atheist movement. So it's like, how do you not know who Ken Ham is, man?
Right?
Next, you're gonna tell me you don't know who Jerry Falwell is.
And I didn't mean to like shit all over your time. Not saying that it.
No, it's fine. I do something different. You read really old, weird books about branches and stakes. So
your stuff is stupid, Jamie.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to read those books, so I can't really shit all over it.
I'll send you the link.
But you're getting in the way of the shit, man.
Sorry, shit.
Which is that Ken Ham, who has the Ark Encounter, I'm not sure whether you're aware of this.
I am familiar with the Ark Encounter.
Okay. Right. I didn't know because you don't know anything. So it's fine. Was trying to get schools to do school field trips there, public schools to do field trips to Jesus Town, the Ark Encounter. And his claim is that schools violate the law by not taking field trips to the Ark Encounter.
Of course he says this.
No, you are. During an interview on the Wall Builders Live radio show.
You already surmised it.
Yeah. Creationist Ken Ham claimed it was a violation of the First Amendment for public schools not to take their students on field trips to the Ark Encounter or the Creation Museum. It's just so beautiful. So here's the quote. Brace yourselves. I'm just gonna. You know how they say sick when things are misspelled or grammatically.
Everything is sick.
Just begin sick here and end when I'm done. These people, atheists, are so scared that these students would actually hear some different thinking that they threaten them this way. So the way I respond was to offer any public school that brings students on a field trip to the Creation Museum, now to do it in accord with the Constitution, and that is that they are to do it as an educational trip, a field trip to learn other perspectives about science and history outside the context of the classroom. They can do that. I'm just going to pause here to just try and unravel that if you'd like. So here, I'll go
perspectives. There's a big hyphen there somewhere.
These people are so scared these students will actually hear some different thinking
on his version of Christianity.
That they threaten them this way. So the way I respond was to offer any public... There's a prize for the first person to correctly decipher this. So the way I respond was to offer any public school that brings students on a field trip to the Creation Museum, now to do it in accord with the Constitution, and that is they're to do it as an educational trip.
Right.
Field trip to learn other perspectives about science and history outside the context of the classroom. They can do that.
Okay, so
do not take legal advice from Ken Ham.
So he kind of glossed over what we did last episode or the episode before that. In order to circumvent the Establishment Clause, he was trying to give...
Oh, he was trying to pay for it or something.
Yeah, well, he was going to do free field trips.
Yeah.
That way it wouldn't be on taxpayer dime and be...
It would just be on taxpayer time and also still public schools.
Yeah. It was a big PR stunt. It was whatever.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm still reading his quotations. So
here we go.
The incorrect grammar is his and not mine. Yeah. And under the First Amendment, they can certainly do that. Do not take legal advice from Ken Ham.
Right.
Under the First Amendment, they can certainly do that, provided the teacher is not promoting or the school is not promoting what they'll call religion.
They.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, they call creationism religion. That's Although they teach religion in their science classes anyway, it's called evolution. It's called naturalism. But provided they don't promote it and say, you have to believe this, if they just say to them, you're going to go on a field trip and it's an educational field trip to get a different perspective and see what they believe and so on, to see how they present their message and so on, they're well within their rights to do it. Do not take legal advice from Ken Ham.
Is he taking speech advice from like Donald Trump? Because this is so disconnected.
I was going to say
that would probably be an upgrade.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to try and evaluate them side by side.
Man,
we're almost through it.
This guy and Shakespeare.
Yeah. They're both equally unintelligible to people that just speak English. In fact, to not do that and to say you can't do that is actually against the constitutional rights of the students themselves, depriving them of opportunity to experience or engage and challenge with other perspectives, because it's been ruled over and over again in the courts that, you're not to promote religion in public schools and not to inhibit it either.
He at least gets part of it.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
It's illegal to deprive students from your indoctrination parks.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and
not what
deprive them of a message that is so obscure that no one's ever heard it before.
They will call it religion that I have in Ark Park that talks about the biblical beepity boppity boopity. They're calling it religion when science is religion. Ha ha.
Wow.
So
and who did he present this to? Where did this appear?
He was on a live radio show.
Oh, okay.
It was the Wall Builders live radio.
It's hosted
They were
by...
having a debate, weren't they?
No, it was hosted by David Barton, who's a Jesus
Yeah, no, it was
historian, air quotes.
Yeah, it was a softball interview with David Barton
Right.
on
Okay,
the
that
Wall
makes
Builders
sense.
live radio show.
Got it.
Yeah, all editorializing, no meat.
That's definitely a biblical reference.
The Wall Builders. Yeah, I don't.
I feel like I would want to create something that sounded like a biblical reference, like the flower pickers, and then just have other Christians pretend that they understood what the reference was. I was gonna
The cheese makers.
Yeah. It's sort of frustrating because this is actually a common misunderstanding that, like, oh, you can't have a Bible and the students can't have Bibles in school. And it's,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
it's
how
fine.
many memes have I seen
The
on
government
Facebook?
part of public
people
school.
thinking that we have school shootings. We have more school shootings because you're not allowed to pray in schools anymore.
You can pray all the time.
Learn a thing about a thing.
It's that the government can't tell you how to pray.
Right.
Whether the
these
government
people
employee is a teacher.
or that you have to.
Yeah.
Nor would these people want the government to tell them how to pray. Because which denomination...
What's funny is there's examples of like pagan organizations that send home there was I forget the school, but there was a rule of you can't send home religious material or political material, but there's like little notices of community events that you send home with your kids. And local Christians petitioned to have the rule repealed so they could talk about Jesus all the time. And then like a local pagan organization was like, oh yeah, we're having a little festival. Bring your family, bring your kids. And the biblical shit hit the Jesus fan. And they're like, oh, it's a violation of my existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm being persecuted.
I'd like to invite my friend God, who is here now that I've invited him into the chamber.
To the studio.
Yeah.
God is with us here.
Right. Okay, we'll have Catholic prayers in school. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just the moment it's like, all right, and the prayer is to Allah today, and all your kids are going to be excluded and feel really weird because it's somebody else's religion. It's really
be a shit show.
Boy, howdy.
Well, in any case, we've dealt with enough shit today.
Yeah.
Dennis, dig us out of this hole.
All right. Well, we've narrowed our audience, we've harvested the low-hanging fruit, and we'll be remarketing you in 2 weeks on the 6th of March. Until then, stay data-driven.